mynews.studio.
Imagine this. As COP30 wraps up in Brazil, a group of countries quietly steps aside to create their own path out of fossil fuels. The question is, can this independent coalition actually make progress where the main talks have hit a wall?
Today is December 2nd, 2025. The COP30 summit just finished in Belém, but the outcome was complicated. More than 80 countries said they wanted to phase out fossil fuels, yet the final agreement didn't mention a phase out at all. How did we end up here?
It really comes down to how the UN works. They use a consensus rule, so if just a few countries object, nothing moves forward. Even though most nations pushed for stronger action, the final language got watered down. But that didn't stop everyone.
Right, and that's where this new coalition steps in. Colombia and the Netherlands, plus 22 more countries like Australia and the UK, have launched what's being called the Belém Declaration. This isn't part of the official UN process. Why go outside the system?
They hit a dead end with consensus. The process was blocking real progress. So by forming this separate group, almost a third of the world's nations, they're making a statement. If the official route is stuck, they'll act anyway. It's a significant change.
But since it's voluntary, what holds it together? What stops countries from just backing out or, greenwashing their efforts?
That's a fair concern. Instead of legal requirements, the plan is all about transparency and peer pressure. The International Energy Agency is tracking how each country does, especially with the Belém 4X commitment.
Sorry, can you clarify Belém 4X? What does that mean exactly?
Of course, it means quadrupling sustainable fuel use by 2035. Every member country has to publicly report their progress, with the first big check-in set for Colombia in April 2026. The thinking is public scrutiny and peer accountability will keep everyone honest.
So this isn't a treaty you can enforce in court. It's more everyone's watching, so you're expected to deliver. But what about workers in fossil fuel industries? Are they just out of luck?
No, that's actually a key part. The coalition has a just transition principle. That means supporting workers and communities, retraining, new job opportunities, economic support. They're building on things like the Powering Past Coal Alliance, which already helps countries shift away from coal. And there's also EFFECT, a non-governmental group working on frameworks for both exporters and importers. They're trying to make the transition manageable. Social safety nets, retraining programs, diversifying local economies.
So this is bigger than one agreement. There's support networks, like the $5.5 billion Tropical Forests Forever Fund and the Future Fuels Action Plan to boost sustainable energy. Is this a new playbook for climate action?
That's the goal. Instead of waiting for everyone to sign on, smaller groups are moving ahead, setting standards and building momentum. The hope is that this approach, putting plans into action, will encourage others to follow or at least raise their ambitions.
Does that mean the official COP process is less important now, or is it still central to global climate efforts?
It's not irrelevant, but maybe less central. The UN process still shapes the overall direction and gives legitimacy. But when it gets stuck, these coalitions show there's another path. And by focusing on just transition, they make it harder for regions dependent on fossil fuels to say no. Are we seeing a new era for climate governance?
The real test is coming soon, the April 2026 conference in Colombia. Will these countries actually follow through, or will it turn into another round of missed targets? The stakes are high, especially with the world still missing the Paris Agreement's 1.5 degrees Celsius goal.
If they can turn these promises into funding, measurable actions, and real support for vulnerable communities, this could be a real turning point. If not, we might see more fragmentation in climate efforts. Either way, the old consensus model isn't the only option anymore.
So, to sum up, COP30 ended in a deadlock, but 24 nations are moving ahead on their own phase-out plan. They're betting on transparency and peer accountability, and they're putting just transition front and center. The main challenge? Making it all work in 2026.
Thanks for listening as we broke down this shift in climate leadership. The next few months will show if this coalition can follow through or if climate action needs another rethink.
Thank you for tuning in. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Give it a try. It's free.